Good morning. I hope everyone is enjoying their hump day. It's Wednesday, and it's the morning here on the West Coast. It's raining, and we're going to get into a nice, refreshing midweek practice. Um, I'm not using music this time, but I will share with you a playlist each time so that you can play some music alongside of it. My recording last week showed me how terrible the sound is when I share my music, and we will find other ways to do this as I explore this whole new world of um, online offerings. So bear with me and make your way to your mat. If you have props that you use for yoga, so I have blocks and a strap. You could use anything. Blocks are really to bring the floor closer to you when you're in any kind of standing pose. So if you have toilet paper rolls, full toilet paper rolls, cans, books, things like that. The strap can be replaced with any kind of belt or even a tea towel just rolled up. I've got a cushion here. You can use couch cushions, you can use folded towels and blankets, anything of this sort. So we're going to start lying down today, and we'll try to get back up afterwards. Okay. I'll move my cushion out of the way and make my way down to my back. Find somewhere comfortable. So for you, that might mean with knees bent, mean all the way down on the back. And close your eyes. We always begin practice by dropping in, taking that sometimes frantic energy and bringing it back into the room, back onto the mat, back into the body. We set the intention every single time to meet our bodies where they're at, to do what feels good, to avoid pain. So if anything feels burning or tingling, numbing, shooting, we back off. We're not going for crunching feelings or squishing, compressing nerves. We want to go for length, for balance. If you feel lightheaded or dizzy, you take a comfortable position. But on the same note, we also challenge ourselves when we know we can go a little further, when we know we want to try something new, when we want to walk that line a little bit. As you lay here, come to your senses. Feel the air on the skin, the earth under the body, the breath at the nostrils. You can see the quality of light through your eyelids. Hear distant sounds and closer ones. Taste and smell. This week, my theme has been ritual and redefining this sometimes negatively associated word for us. Ritual does not have to mean religion. Ritual does not have to mean mundane. Does not have to mean repetitious, although repetition is kind of part of it. Ritual can be soothing, grounding, reassuring. And for me, I know I have to have a clause with any habit I set up that when I'm not feeling it anymore, I'm not feeling it anymore. And we know deep inside when it's an excuse versus when it's a deep knowing. Our practice connects us to this conversation in our bodies, this trust that we know what we need. And that was the second thing I wanted to bring in today, is that a habit that comes from a deep need that you know is for you, that is a sustainable habit. That is one that's not going to be a chore or mundane. That's one that will be fueled with from something deeper inside. So as we practice today, although it might start, movement might begin feeling like a chore, we notice through practice after practice how this ritual of coming onto our mats might be one of those ones that your body's really asking for. Let's take 3 big deep breaths together here. Inhale, fill the body up. Exhale, let it go. 2 more times. Feel the rib cage expand. Feel the abdomen expand. And then let everything naturally recoil back to the center. 1 more time. Take the arms overhead and give yourself a big morning stretch. Even yawn. Reaching up to the fingertips and the toes. And then release. Bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the floor, and just start to do some windshield wipers from side to side with the knees. Finding the movement through the pelvis, through the hips. And now bring them back up to center. Place the heels right behind the sit bones here. And then pick up the hips, shift them over to the left, let the knees fall to the right. Bring that left arm overhead and stretch it tall. And just get a nice open twist here. And then come back to center, pick the hips up, go over to the right, let the knees fall to the left. Take the right arm overhead and reach it tall. And then back to center. We're going to bring the knees in towards the chest. Take the knees in the hands, extend the arms, and just do a few little rocks side to side. You'll feel the sacrum get a nice massage there, all the muscles attaching the legs to those hips, to the pelvis, the upper portion of the glutes, all those abductors up there. And then come back to center. Come to a tabletop position here. Bring the arms out to the side or in cactus pose. And then we're going to start windshield wiping here, but activating the core. So draw that belly button down towards the spine. Feel awake in the lower abdomen. And on the next inhale, bring the knees over to the right. Don't touch the earth. Exhale, come back to center. And then we're going to go to the left. Same thing, back to center. If you need more here, although often at the beginning of practice, it's good to ease our way into it. The legs can become straighter and straighter. Every exhale brings the knees back to center. Every inhale brings them away. You can find your own breath, your own rhythm. As time goes on, that range of motion might grow bigger. As we start to awaken the muscles of the core, that action of twisting in the spine, we get used to it. And then we're also getting a bit of a massage here, all at the same time. Let's do one more to each side. And then once you're done those, you come back up to center and take those legs back to tabletop. You might bring the thumbs underneath for now, or you can leave them wherever you need to. And again, activating that lower abdomen and being conscious of these ribs. As we get into the core, sometimes the tendency is to pop those ribs out. We want to draw them down towards the pelvis. We're going to start to tap and tap and tap. Just getting into our core gently, starting the practice with some awareness, because throughout we want to keep coming back to that stable, solid, strong foundation right down the middle of the body, that which really helps to find foundation. A strong core is a good ritual to have, something to lean back on, something to reassure the body so that it doesn't get scared of injury and start to lack mobility. Beautiful. Let's do 3, 2, 1, and then reach those legs up to the sky. Point and flex the toes, make some circles, wake up the ankles and the feet. You could even do the same with the hands, open and close, and then hug those knees in. You can roll over onto the side to press yourself up to seated, or you can rock and roll, and then come over onto hands and knees. Hands placed under the shoulders, knees under the hips. With every inhalation, we'll open that front body, tilt the tailbone to the sky. Every exhalation, we press into the hands and puff up that back, looking at the belly button. We continue here. We'll do 3 more. If you need to bring more movement, so some rolls or some lateral movements, sorry, they're vacuuming outside my door now. Then go for it. And then back to neutral. Beautiful. You're going to walk those arms forward and come to a puppy pose here. So in puppy pose, hips are over the knees. And in this one, I want your arms to be straight and strong. Every single finger, every single knuckle is pressed into the earth. And then the head starts to melt between the arms. It may come to the earth. If you have a prop, it may come to the prop. Or you could just hang out up here as well. You can start to let the heart melt as well. But keep those arms strong. Get a nice stretch here. We're going to come into our shoulder flow. Another little ritual that I have at the beginning of the practice. We exhale, bring the hips over towards the heels, and then we draw the nose forward, elbows out to the side, and press back up to hands and knees. 4 more of those. So as I draw my nose forward, I almost feel as if I can nestle the arm bones deeper into the shoulder sockets. It serves as a nice awakener. And then we're also still using the spine, adding in some hips. Last one. And then back to neutral. Bring those knees right under the hips. Again, curl the toes under. We're going to wake up the core one more time here. We bring those knees up off the floor a few inches and press the floor away. Every toe is spreading. And I'm going to draw that belly button up to the sky and hold here. Maybe I bounce a little bit. Get those thighs working. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press back into a down dog. You may need to lengthen the feet away from the hands. And just get some length through the spine. You can walk it out a little bit. And then come back down to hands and knees. So you can either do that one again, or you can come along and go one step further with me and do rocket. So in rocket, we're still curling the toes under, lifting those knees up, keeping the knees bent, but then we stretch those hips back, keep the arms nice and strong, and then rocket forward into a plank. You may have to adjust the distance between hands and feet again. So we press those hips back and back to plank. All right, we've got 8 more. 7. I know. 6. 5. 4 more. We're almost there. Keep reaching those hips back. Pay attention to the grounding in the fingers and the toes. 2. And last one. Beautiful downward facing dog. Throughout the practice, if child's pose or puppy pose feel more at home to you than down dog, go for it. And now let's start to walk the feet forward towards the hands and come to a forward fold, letting the head and the neck just drop. Bend the knees as much as you need to in your forward folds so as not to overstress that low back. We have to find a balance here in challenge versus overstraining. And at the beginning of the practice, we practice kindness and compassion. Slowly start to come all the way up to standing. Beautiful. Tadasana, mountain pose. Feet are comfortable distance apart. All 4 corners of the feet are planted into the earth and we grow up and out. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, dive forward. Forward fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale. Come all the way out. Stretch. And then the exhale folds you back into yourself. And one more. And down. Let's hold it down here for a breath. And then hands to shins or thighs, press that heart forward. Ardha Uttanasana, half forward fold, exhale, release. Let's do that 2 more times. Press that heart forward and let go. And last one, plant the hands on the earth, step back to a plank pose. So plank can be on your elbows and knees, it can be on hands and feet, or anywhere in between. But wherever you are, in any of these versions, we're drawing into the midline. Imagine that strong core, that which gives us strength, reassurance, but that also, that's where our cells lie. Draw it all into that midline. Hug it in and hold. Beautiful. Let's drop the knees down for this first one. Yes, it's like a tricep push-up. We want to bend the elbows back behind us as we stretch the heart forward and down. So we bend them, and slowly drop down to the earth. Flip the feet over, bring the hands off the floor, and 4 times we flow up into a baby cobra. Inhaling, drawing that heart up, and exhaling down. Tops of the feet are rooted. The thighs are rooted. Even the belly button is rooted here. We draw those elbows back, the shoulders on the back body. Last one, let's hold it up here. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands come down, curl the toes under, come into that home position. Down dog, child's, or puppy. And then look to the front of the mat and slowly make your way back into a forward fold. Release. Inhale, come all the way up, reaching tall. And exhale, fold. Ardha Uttanasana, again, look up halfway, lengthen. And then plant the hands down and plank pose again. So what do I mean when I'm talking about hugging into the midline? I'm imagining this strong central core. And so even though I want to soften the periphery, like my face, my jaw, the skin, I want to make sure that everything else is actively helping my body to stay buoyant here. So instead of pressing the floor away and disintegrating my shoulders, I'm letting those arm bones nestle deeper into the shoulder sockets. Instead of looking up and bringing my head out of line and my neck squished, I'm letting it be neutral. My ribs are drawing down and in. My lower abdomen is active. The sides of my waist are long and drawing in. The muscles of my thighs are hugging towards the bone. And I'm pressing back through my heels to really activate the lower leg as well. And now I drop the knees again. Beautiful. This time we're going to go down slower, bending the elbows behind us. So coming down for 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Flip the feet over. This time keeping the hands on the floor so that we can activate the triceps on the way up to baby cobra. We inhale, draw the heart forward and up and put a little bit of pressure into those hands so you feel the arms working. But keep the shoulders back, keep the elbows in. Exhale down. Make sure the collarbone is wide. And down. 2 more. And this last one, we hold it up there. And put a little more pressure into all the finger pads, all the knuckle pads. And release. Recovery pose. Down dog. Puppy or child's. Look up at the front of the mat, step, walk, or hop into your forward fold again. We're going to parallel the feet. Make sure the toes are spread. I always like the cue of being able to see the colors of your mat between the toes. So you know you have healthy yogi feet if you can start to see the color of your mat between every single toe. And then we draw up through those feet, activating them, spinning the thigh bones away from each other and out towards the back. You'll feel the arches start to activate a little bit as you squeeze the shins in and the thighs out. And now let's bend the knees nice and deep. And come up into our first Utkatasana or chair pose, hands to the heart. So as we sit here, we let the hips sink a little bit lower and then the shoulders come onto the back. I want to hold this one here just so we can really connect to that center line again. So bring the ribs down towards the pelvis, activate the lower abdomen. Look down. Can you still see a few of your toes? Shift some weight back into the heels a little more. Maybe sink deeper. Now, if sinking deeper arches your back, just activate that core again. We want that lower back to be protected and the core to be active at all times. Beautiful. For 3, get a little lower. 2, press those feet into the earth. 1, smile, and then come all the way up. Exhale, dive forward. Look up halfway, lengthen. And this time we're going to keep our fingertips on the floor and just step that right leg back behind us. So we're coming into a runner's lunge here. You'd always bring blocks or your props underneath those hands so that the back isn't hunching to get down, the fingers down. We want a nice long spine from head all the way to the heel there. Beautiful. I like the runner's lunge because it's simple but quite effective here. So you have 2 options. We're going to get into the hamstrings right away. We're either keeping that back knee off the ground as we extend through the front knee and bend, and again, props will help there. Or you can bring that back knee down and extend and bend here. All right. So let's go 4 times. We inhale, shift those hips back, and exhale, bend forward. Beautiful. Finding some movement through the knee joint. Saying good morning to the hamstrings. Beautiful. Come back to that lunge, knee up or down. We're going to walk the right hand to the right a little bit, roll the shoulder on the back, bring the left hand to the back of the sacrum, and start to twist here. You could keep the hand there, you could reach it up, you could bring it behind the back of the neck, the head, the base of the skull there, and just lean back. Check in Is there anywhere that's feeling closed off by the body? Adjust. And then return to center and step into your plank pose. Now this time, if you want to come down slowly with me, again, you can choose to keep the knees off the ground or on the ground, bending the elbows behind us, shifting forward slightly if you're on your toes. We come down for 4, 3, 2, 1, touch down, flip the feet over. And now you can have the hands under the shoulders or a little further down towards the ribs. We're coming into full Cobra here, but that means whatever that means to you. So start to pull the heart forward, find your baby Cobra. Maybe while keeping the collarbones wide, the elbows hugged in and the shoulders on the back, maybe you start to press into the hands more. If there's ever any pinching or compression in any one part of the spine, it's probably a good sign to come down a little bit. And then come all the way down and come into your recovery. Beautiful work. And now that right foot needs to make its way between the hands. You could step it there. If you're in down dog, you can practice on bringing it more gracefully there. Up to you, but we make our way into that runner's lunge again. We find 90 degrees in that front knee and any props that we need to ensure a nice long spine. We hug the back thigh bone onto the thigh muscle onto the bone. And then we start to flow into our hamstrings. As we inhale, hips come back. And again, you can choose to come onto that back knee and exhale, bend. Beautiful. And we'll do one more. And then come back to that runner's lunge. Walk the left hand to the left a little, right hand to the sacrum. Roll both shoulders on the back. There's a tendency to want to start to straighten that right leg and lift that right hip. Keep it sinking down. Keep that back leg strong and then twist. Maybe the arm comes up. Maybe it comes behind the head to support the back of the skull. And then come back to center. Set the hands up. And with 1, 2, or many steps, we come forward into a forward fold. Release. Bend the knees nice and deep again. Make sure the feet are parallel, the toes are active. Come back to that chair pose. This time we'll bring some shoulder mobility to it. Roll the shoulders back. As we exhale, we draw those arms behind us like wings. As we inhale, they come forward as far as they can without closing that neck off. Beautiful. We'll go for 4 more. Stay deep in the heels. Sit those hips back. Activate the core. Move through the shoulder girdle. Very nice. 1 more. All the way up, reaching tall. Exhale, fold forward. Beautiful. Look up, halfway lengthen. This time you're going to be stepping that left leg back behind you. Right leg forward. Runner's lunge again. Now we're hugging the midline again. What does this mean in runner's lunge? it means that the legs almost scissor together a little bit. You see my hips come up. That's because I'm activating the muscles to draw them towards each other and so that the pelvis faces forward. Both sides of my hips are trying to come into line. And then I go for a little more depth through that front knee while keeping that same muscle action. Now from here, we're going to go back to the arms, bringing them back behind us, and now drawing the belly button up off that front thigh without changing the angle of the body too much. And we're flying here. Beautiful. So draw those shoulders on the back. You might even pulse them up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. And now maybe those arms come forward to frame your ears, but keep the neck long to a ready pose. Keep that front knee bent. Beautiful. And now with the back knee up or down, maybe we now press the body all the way up. Find that length through the hip flexor. If you'd like to take this further, take the arms up. If you'd like to take it further, still take that left wrist with the right hand and start to lean to the right. Beautiful. And now release the hands down. Step back to your plank pose. This time, let's see if we can gradually find each degree of bend in our elbows, knees up or down. So bend those elbows 1 inch. Check that the shoulders are on the back. Now press back up. Now see if you can go 2 inches. Nice. And back up. 3 inches. Beautiful. Back up. 4. I know that's not really 4, but you get the gist. And back up. Come halfway down. And back up. These are not push-ups, I promise. Come a little more than halfway down. Don't touch the earth. Back up. Beautiful. Come almost to the earth. Chaturanga. And back up. You do it. And then all the way down. Beautiful. Flip the feet over. This time, reach those arms back like wings again. Roll the shoulders on the back. This time, both the heart and the legs will come up off the ground into a Shalambasana or locust prep. So bring chin onto the earth. Next inhale, reach up with the chest and the legs. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Make your way into your child's down dog or puppy pose. And now we find a way to get that left leg between the hands to do the whole thing on the left side again. Beautiful. So we're in runner's lunge again. We draw those legs towards each other. We lengthen through the spine. We bend through that front knee. And now we pick the hands up off the floor if we can and reach them back behind us. We activate the core to draw that belly button off the thigh. Roll the shoulders on the back. And maybe we pulse them for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe we reach the arms forward into ready pose. Getting ready to launch off. Activate that back leg. Press back through the back heel, but keep that front knee bending. Lovely. And now press yourself up to that full lunge. Maybe the back knee's on the earth. You might stay here. You might reach up with the arms. You might take that right wrist with the left hand and lean to the left. Get that stretch through the right side. Feel it in that right hip flexor at the front of the hip. And then back to center. Release the hands down and step back to your forward fold. Nice work. Bend the knees nice and deep. Come into your chair pose again. And this time you get to choose your arm position. Maybe hands at the heart. Maybe they're reaching out in front of you, keeping those arms integrated into the body. Maybe they can start to reach up without closing off your throat and neck. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, release the hands down through the center of the body and meet mountain pose, Tadasana. Feel the change of energy through the body. The change of the heartbeat, of the breath. So we'll come to a little bit of balancing here. Yay. So coming back to the foundational, hugging into the midline. And that's very obvious when we have to do some balancing. So first and foremost, we're going to come into a tree pose. You're going to pick up the right heel and just turn that right knee out to the right. This may be where you stay, especially if you find that as soon as you do that, the left hip comes out to the side. We're going to hug it all in to that central line and see how much muscle it takes just to stand here. Maybe the foot comes to the inner shin. Maybe you help it all the way up to the inner thigh. Now we press the standing leg and the bent leg towards each other and come to any hand position that calls to you. So maybe as a reminder to stay in the midline, the hands come to center. Maybe they come to cactus as you continue to hug into the midline and throw yourself off balance. I'm always the worst at teaching and balancing at the same time. Or maybe they reach out like branches. Maybe you play around and close the eyes. Beautiful. Hands come back to the hips. We're going to take this into a standing pigeon. So you might need to hold on to something for this, or you could continue to stay balancing. But what we're going to do is cross that right ankle over the left thigh and start to bend that left knee and hinge at the hip slightly. You could always come to bringing the arms onto that right shin, like a little shelf. Keep that right foot active, and that'll help continue to draw everything, bring muscle to bone. Maybe the fingertips can reach to proper the floor. And find some softness, some focus. And then slowly extract yourself, come all the way up, release that leg. Erase anything that happened on the first side and go to the second. Balance is tricky. It's a vulnerable place to be. And it's so the theme of this season. So let's bend that left knee, bring the left knee out to the side, draw that right hip in, feel the right glute activate, feel the core fire up. Maybe you stay there, maybe you come to inner shin, maybe you come all the way up to inner thigh. Just avoid the inner knee. We don't want to be pressing against the knee joint. Press the standing leg and the foot towards each other and feel tall. Hands take any position they're drawn to. Beautiful. And then we slowly return the hands back down to the hips. Cross the left ankle over the right thigh and start to bend that right knee, bend through the hips a little bit to come into a standing number 4 or standing pigeon. Maybe the forearms can come down on top or in front of that bent shin, bent leg shin, or maybe they reach all the way down to the earth. And then slowly hugging back into the midline, finding your foundation. Come all the way out of that and release. Beautiful. Tadasana, mountain pose. Take the legs wide apart. And then we're going to turn the left toes to point towards the short edge of the mat. The right heel points slightly out so that we're in about a heel to heel or a heel to arch stance. Keeping that back leg powerful, that outer knife edge of that back foot pressed into the earth. We bend the left knee away from there and find warrior 2. Reach the arms out. Draw those shoulders back. Activate the core, ribs down, lower abdomen active. And gaze to the front. That left knee is pressing towards the left, really activating that left glute. And we press into all 4 corners of the feet, especially that front one, and go a little deeper. And now bring the hands behind you, either taking hold of the forearms, the elbows, or interlacing the fingers. Turn yourself diagonally to the top right corner of the mat. And let's dive into that inner edge of the left leg. So that left shoulder may get right into the inner edge of that left knee. We press it open, we release the head and the neck. And once you get there, you could also come into a supported humble warrior with those fingertips reaching towards that upper outer right corner of the mat. Keep the back leg strong. And then come all the way back up, straighten both legs and switch the feet around. Right toes point to the front. And that left heel swings out just a little bit. Now notice there might be a tendency to lose that back leg. Really hug muscle to bone again. Press out through the outer edge of that back foot. And then from there, bend through the right knee. Strengthen it up. Beautiful. Arms come out to the side. Virabhadrasana 2, gaze to the front. Keep pressing that right knee to the right. Keep drawing everything back in toward that central line. Wow. Pressing out into the feet, feeding off the floor. That gives you the extra energy to find stability. And now, take either the opposite grip of the elbows or forearms, the opposite grip of the hands, turn to the top left corner of the mat and dive forward, right shoulder to the inner right thigh. Humble warrior. You can release the hands and come into a supported humble warrior. Keep that right knee bent, keep that back leg strong. And then you come all the way back up, straighten both legs, point the toes towards the same direction, outer edges of the feet parallel to the short edges of the mat. Press into all four corners of the feet and start to hinge forward at those hip creases, drawing the heart forward. Hands might come below the shoulders. We might start to bend the elbows a little bit more as you dive, releasing the head and the neck. You might start to walk the hands back in line with the feet. And then we shift a little bit of weight back into the fronts of the feet. There's a tendency to sink back in the heels. And we feel those inner thighs spinning out and behind us as we widen our sit bones. And then pressing into the feet again, we feel the lower leg activate and work against that. Strengthening up the entire leg. From that foundation, you can even fold deeper and let go more. Slowly walk the hands back out in front of you, under your shoulders. Shimmy the heels in a little bit so they're a little wider than hip distance apart. Turn the toes out and start to drop the hips down. We're coming into a squat. So you could always stay up in kind of a frog squat here. You could have a prop to catch you behind to come and sit on. Or you could let those hips come all the way down, as long as the knees are pointed in the same direction as the toes. Roll the shoulders back wherever you are. Let the heart be broad. And breathe. And then slowly come back up to a forward fold. Look up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, return. Then come all the way up, reaching tall. Exhale, hands to the heart. And we make our way down to seated. When you get to seated, bring the legs out in front of you. Toes pointed up to the sky. Roll the shoulders back. Bring the hands beside the hips, fingertips pointed forward. Tadasana, staff pose. You may press into the hands a little to really access that length of the spine. But keep the neck long. Keep the collarbones broad. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you start to draw that heart further forward. Maybe you can take yourself for a walk down your legs. But have that constant conversation with the body, making sure you're finding that good stretch, as opposed to forcing yourself into a place you're not ready for. If the knees are really wanting to bend, I just advise you to come out of it a little more and allow those thighs to relax down towards the earth. And be patient as we hold it. You may find yourself being able to get a little deeper. If the hamstrings are really tight, then the lower back starts to take the brunt of it. And so if those legs are bending, then this becomes way more of just an lower back stretch. And usually all of those muscles that attach our spine to our pelvis there, they tend to be overstretched and weak already. And so we're almost adding to the dysfunction if we're forcing these forward folds. Come all the way up out of there, bend the knees. Keep the feet together, let the knees come apart. Utkatasana, hold on to the ankles. And then maybe you rock a little bit, finding a good position, finding those sit bones. If you can't find those sit bones, then have them plug into the earth. Bring the heels away from you a little bit. Once you've found that position, get nice and tall. Perhaps you can fold forward here. Bringing the heart towards that open book of the feet. I know there's a tendency to pull up on the toes, but that will start to sickle the ankles. And that's not really the point of this stretch so much. So it's better to use the ankles as you pull, as you draw the heart forward. And a little bit of gravity. Come all the way back up. Bring those heels away from you so that you're making more of a diamond. Open the feet towards the screen or wherever you're facing. And then start to draw your heart forward here. You'll get more of a stretch to the outer hips down through the lateral leg here. And inhale all the way back up. Draw those knees together. We're going to plant the feet, knees bent, arms out in front, and slowly make our way down to the back. When you get there, walk the heels in towards the sit bones. Make sure the feet are parallel, which might actually feel a little bit pigeon-toed, knees pointed up to the sky. Bring the elbows nice and tight in towards you. Bend the elbows at 90 degrees into robot arms. Let's press into the feet, the backs of the arms, the back of the head, the back of the shoulders as you lift those hips up, up, up. Sati Bandhasana, bridge pose. You may even start to extend those arms along the floor if the shoulders can stay down, or maybe even interlace the hands behind you and roll even deeper onto the shoulders. Keep lifting that pelvis up, keep the throat open, let the heart lift. Plug into the feet. And then release all the way down. Beautiful. Walk the feet out mat distance. Let the knees fall in towards each other. Hands nourishing you. Or up above you to cool off. Let the pelvis settle here. Walk the feet back in. If you need to, one more time, just like the beginning of practice, take the knees and the hands and do a few rocks. Maybe some circles. If there's anything else that needs to move through your body, so maybe you need another twist. Maybe you need a happy baby pose. Maybe you simply just need one more hug. Listen to your body. And then slowly make your way into Shavasana. Traditionally, that would mean legs outstretched, arms at the side, palms up. But take whatever position your body's calling for. Maybe it's on the side, maybe it's legs up the wall, maybe it's even on your front. And then allow the body to descend, to ground. Feel not only reintegrated into your body physically, but emotionally, mentally, energetically, more solid, more certain, reassured, more you. You can always stay here for as long as you want. You don't have to end with me. We can always chat later. This is the space where you get to be. And not do, not analyze. Just be. I hope you enjoyed this ritual and have confirmed that you need more of it in your life. It's what happens to me every time I get on my mat. Maybe you can take this off the mat too. And while you're here listening deeply, maybe your body, maybe your soul tells you what else you need more of. Thank you so much for joining me, and make sure you take time to thank yourself before you leave today. I'm Jen. Namaste.